Right now, one Ute brand sold in Australia is being taken to court by the federal consumer watchdog over claims its trayback isn't tough enough for Aussie roads. None of that is rumour. It's all sitting on the Federal Recall Register and in court filings right now. And here's the twist. The Ute that most independent reviewers agree is the single most reliable vehicle in the entire Australian market also happens to be one of the cheapest brand new Utes you can buy. Real recalls, real court documents, real warranty numbers. No guesswork, no brand loyalty, just what's actually on the record. The Musso has built a decent little reputation as the budget value Ute, the one tradies recommend to mates who don't want to spend Ranger money, backed by a 7-year warranty that sounds generous for the price. So it stings a bit more when you find out that in 2025, KGM SsangYong Australia issued a national recall covering more than 15,000 Musso and Rexton Utes built between 2020 and 2024. The fault sits in the engine cooling fan circuit. Under certain driving conditions, a defective fuse can fail, the engine overheats, and you lose motive power while you're still moving. Picture that happening mid-overtake on a single-lane highway with a loaded trailer behind you. The repair itself is free, a fuse and wiring harness swap at any KGM dealer, but a cooling system failure reaching this many vehicles tells you something about quality control on a system that's about as basic and safety critical as it gets. This sits on the official Department of Infrastructure Vehicle Recalls register, not a forum rumor. If you're shopping secondhand, run the VIN through that register before you hand over a deposit, and get written confirmation the rectification work was actually carried out. GWM's Canon lineup sells itself on value, a massive touchscreen, generous standard kit, and a 7-year warranty that looks great on paper next to the Japanese-built competition. What doesn't look great is what happened across roughly a month in 2025, when GWM issued 2 separate national recalls touching the same model family. The first covered close to 2,900 examples of the Canon, built in 2023, where the wrong lubricant was used on the diesel fuel filter's sealing O-ring during assembly. Over time, that seal can degrade and let fuel leak from the filter housing, and fuel leaking near an ignition source is a fire risk. The second, only weeks later, covered close to 2,500 examples of the larger Canon Alpha, built between 2023 and 2025, where the electric power steering wiring harness was fitted with the wrong length and could rub against the driveshaft, wearing through the insulation until you either lose power steering or the engine shuts down without warning. Both repairs are free. The real cost is what it says about the same production line putting out a fuel system fault and a steering system fault inside one model year. Both recalls are listed officially, confirmed directly by GWM Australia. If you already own one, check your VIN against both notices, and if you're buying new, get it in writing that any outstanding recall work is done before you take delivery. LDV built the T60's whole pitch around toughness, marketing it for years as rugged enough for beaches, gravel tracks and remote terrain, with a long anti-corrosion warranty to back up the torque, all wrapped in sharp pricing that made it an easy sell against the mainstream brands. Which is exactly why this one's the biggest story on the list. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is currently taking LDV to court, alleging the brand misled buyers. The ACCC's claim is that the T60, along with its G10 van sibling, is prone to rust and corrosion within 5 years of manufacture, and that LDV knew about it as far back as April 2019 yet kept advertising both models as durable and suitable for coastal and off-road use regardless. According to the regulator, more than 5,000 rust and corrosion complaints were lodged between January 2018 and November 2024, across roughly 60,000 T60 and G10 vehicles sold in that window. One rust case actually reached a consumer tribunal, where a dealer was ordered to refund the owner more than $38,000 over the vehicle's corrosion damage. This is an active legal matter reported by National Consumer and Legal Press, not a second-hand anecdote. If a pre-2025 T60 is on your shortlist, get an independent underbody inspection focused specifically on chassis rust before you buy, and check directly with LDV whether that VIN is part of their ongoing corrosion assessment program. So that's 3 Utes between them carrying a court case and tens of thousands of recalled vehicles. But cutting corners isn't universal in this segment. Some manufacturers have spent decades earning their reputation the hard way, through warranty terms, resale data, and engines that quietly outlast everything bolted to them. Let's start with the value pick and work our way up to the one most diesel mechanics would actually buy with their own money. The Triton has always sat a notch below Ranger and Hilux in prestige, the sensible budget choice rather than the aspirational one. So it's a genuine surprise that for 2026, Mitsubishi backs it with a 10-year, 200,000 kilometers warranty, the longest ownership promise of any mainstream Ute sold in this country, paired with a 2.4-litre biturbo diesel making 150 kilowatts and 470 newton meters. The sequential twin-turbo setup is what makes that warranty believable rather than just a sales pitch, giving strong low RPM torque without leaning on a bigger, thirstier engine, while the warranty itself only extends year by year if you stick to dealer servicing, which rewards exactly the maintenance habits that keep any diesel alive. The honest downsides are minor and well documented: occasional DPF warnings under short, stop-start driving, and a factory rear suspension that softens noticeably once you load the tray. Independent off-road reviewers flag the same 2 points and nothing worse. If budget is the priority, the Triton earns its spot. Just keep the dealer servicing streak unbroken and don't ignore a DPF warning if most of your driving is short trips around town. The D-Max has never had a glamorous reputation. It's the unglamorous, slow and steady workhorse fleets buy because it just turns up to work every single day. That reputation comes with a genuine reward: the longest standard warranty of any mainstream ute on sale here, 6 years and 150,000 kilometers. Underneath it, the 3.0-litre 4JJ3 turbo diesel making 140 kilowatts and 450 newton meters has stayed mechanically conservative across generations, a single turbo and a straightforward common rail setup, which simply gives fewer components a chance to fail compared with the multi-turbo systems some rivals now run. The payoff shows up in independent workshop reports, where D-Max owners log noticeably fewer turbo and EGR-related complaints than the segment average, alongside resale values that hold up better than most. Isuzu has since added a smaller, more efficient 2.2-litre engine for buyers who want better fuel economy, but reviewers and touring communities consistently steer towards the original 3.0-litre if you're planning to tow near the limit or head somewhere remote, for the extra mechanical margin it gives you. If that's your use case, the bigger engine over the newer one is the one worth the slightly higher fuel bill. For years, the Ranger's reputation carried an asterisk, because the old 4-cylinder biturbo diesel ran on a wet timing belt sitting inside the engine oil, a design that openly worried mechanics over the engine's life. Ford has now quietly fixed exactly that. For 2026, the biturbo's gone entirely. The remaining single-turbo 4-cylinder gets a proper timing chain in place of the wet belt, and the genuinely smarter buy, the 3.0-litre V6 diesel making 184 kilowatts and 600 newton meters, is now available on almost every 4x4 variant instead of being locked to the expensive top trims. That V6 pairs with true full-time four-wheel drive, and the extra torque margin matters in practice, because it means less strain working through the transmission and driveline bearings when you're sitting near the 3,500 kilograms towing limit for hours on end. Reviewers covering the change specifically call out the timing chain swap as addressing what had been a troublesome wet belt setup, and bringing the V6 within reach for almost $10,000 less than before opens it up to a much wider slice of buyers. It's backed by Ford's standard 5-year, unlimited kilometer warranty, and the combination is exactly why several 2026 buyers' guides now call the Ranger the best all-rounder in the segment. If you're cross-shopping engines, the V6 4x4 is the one to chase now, not the entry-level 4-cylinder, especially if towing is a regular part of your week. The Hilux's reputation as the ute that refuses to die is so old it almost sounds like marketing spin. Except the numbers actually back it up. The Hilux currently posts the strongest resale retention of any vehicle sold in Australia, holding on to roughly 63% of its value after 5 years, beating every other ute in the segment by 5 to 25 percentage points. That comes down to one decision Toyota keeps repeating generation after generation: refusing to chase bigger numbers on paper. The 2.8-litre 1GD-FTV turbo diesel, making 150 kilowatts and up to 500 newton meters with the automatic, stays mechanically conservative, a single turbo and conventional common rail injection that spent decades absorbing abuse on mine sites, farms, and construction jobs, with each generation refining that formula instead of reinventing it. That conservatism is exactly what shows up at resale time and at the workshop counter: fewer exotic parts to source, a dealer and parts network that genuinely reaches remote Australia, and a base 4x2 workmate starting at $33,990, making it the cheapest brand new ute on the market despite the badge premium you'd expect. Toyota backs it with a 5-year, unlimited kilometer warranty that extends a further 2 years on the engine and driveline if you keep to the service schedule, a level of confidence that's exactly why independent buyers' guides keep naming Hilux the reliability benchmark the rest of the segment gets measured against. If long-term ownership cost and resale value matter more to you than raw power, this is still the safest bet in the segment, and the Workmate or SR grade with the 6-speed manual is the simplest, most serviceable version if you genuinely want it to outlast the worksite around it. What actually separates the worst utes on this list from the best has nothing to do with engine size, badge prestige, or sticker price. It comes down to whether a manufacturer treats long-term durability as the actual design brief, or treats it as something to fix later once enough complaints pile up. A fuel system seal, a wiring harness length, a chassis coating, none of these show up in a brochure, but they're exactly what separates a court case and a stack of recalls from a Ute that's still working a decade from now. Recall registers and warranty terms will tell you more about a Ute's real character than any glossy first drive review ever will. If you already own one of these Utes and want to actually push it toward 500,000 kilometers without a major rebuild, the maintenance routine that gets you there isn't complicated, and that's exactly what we are breaking down step by step in the next video.